Hi, I'm Zul Akmal. Welcome to video 4, Dispute and Insolvency and Critical Change Project Management. This video is the fourth video for this module. By end of the video, you should be able to manage disputes arises in the contract management. There is enormous interest in construction dispute, but it tends to focus on dispute resolution techniques rather than how to avoid them. This video will explain further about dispute, reconciliation, arbitration, adjudication, and insolvency. Anatomy of an ideal project manager, managing the execution of critical change project, implementing multi-project critical path. Let's start with dispute. A combination of environmental and behavioral factors can lead to construction disputes. Projects are usually long-term transactions with high uncertainty and complexity, and it is impossible to resolve every detail and foresee every contingency at the outset. As a result, situations often arise that are not clearly addressed by the contract. The basic factors that drive the development of the construction dispute are uncertainty, contractual problem, and behavior. Uncertainty. Uncertainty is the differences between the amount of information required to do the task and the amount of information available. Contractual problem. Standard form of contract clearly prescribe the risks and obligations each party has agreed to take. Such rigid agreements may not be appropriate for long-term transaction carried out under condition of uncertainty. Behavior. Since contract cannot cater for every eventuality, wherever problems arise, either party may have an interest in gaining as much as they can from the other. Equally, the party may have a different perception of the facts. Now, what about reconciliation? Reconciliation was normally related to cost value. Cost value reconciliation are carried out in order to monitor and measure expenditure against budget and on construction project. A measurement of the actual costs involved in a project are compared against the value of the work, including profit, to show a bottom line. In similar way to a balance sheet for a company, they are typically used by contractors to measure profitability and are reported to the management team, usually around the time of interim valuation of the work completed to date, and again at completion of the final account. We move to arbitration.
In this video, we will discuss arbitration. Arbitration is a system of private justice, not a court proceeding. Let's say that Patty and David have a contract. Patty thinks that David broke the contract, and David says that Patty broke the contract. Patty and David could go to court, of course, but let's say they don't want a public court proceeding. Do they have any other option? They could ask another person, Alan, to decide who is right. Alan could act as a private judge. In his role as a private judge, Alan is an arbitrator. If Patty and David select Alan, they have an arbitration agreement. Patty and David have now rejected going to court. Instead of going to court, Patty and David meet at Alan's office. Patty can present evidence why she is right. And of course, David can provide evidence too. At the end of the arbitration, let's say Alan decides that Patty wins and awards her $5,000. We would say Patty received a $5,000 arbitration award. Generally speaking, in the U.S., David will have to pay the $5,000. But what if David refuses to pay? Now Patty will probably have to go to court. The court will probably enforce the arbitration award.
Arbitration commences with a notice to concur with provide for agreement on the appointment of an arbitrator, failing which an arbitrator may be appointed by a nominating body which should be named in the contract. Arbitration is now usually combined with adjudication and mediation in tiered dispute resolution procedure. Okay class, let's move to adjudication. Adjudication is a contractual or statutory procedure for swift interim dispute resolution. Adjudication is provided by a third-party adjudicator selected by the parties to the dispute. Adjudication is often subject to strict timetable and may be based purely on documentary submissions. Adjudicators can adopt any inquisitorial role which may involve taking the initiative in ascertaining fact and law. Adjudication decisions are binding unless and until they are revised by arbitration or litigation. There is no right or appeal and limited right to resist enforcement. Award of legal costs is at the discretion of the adjudicator, unless this is excluded by the terms of the contract. Based on the decision and written information received from both parties, the whole process can take up 28 days and the decisions are binding. Now, insolvency. Insolvency describes the inability of a debtor to pay the debt. In the United Kingdom, insolvent individuals are made bankrupt, while companies are put into liquidation or administration. In both cases, insolvency proceedings do not constitute formal legal claims. Instead, they are effectively administrative processes instigated by either the insolvent entity or one of the creditors. Their specific aim is to recover all available assets so that they may be disposed of and the proceeds distributed to creditors to satisfy all debts to the greatest extent possible. An individual may petition for their own bankruptcy where they are unable to pay their debts, or alternatively, a petition may be presented by an individual creditor or more than one creditor acting jointly. Anatomy of an ideal project manager. There are ideal project managers and they are hard to find. But what makes them so unique? It is not just their ability to reach a goal, but also to make the experience an extremely rewarding one. An ideal project manager is a subtle in the approach but will have a tight grip on each detail of his project even while being off duty. This ability comes with education as well as experience. The key skill of ideal project manager: smooth communicator. People who work in the business world know that communication is not just restricted to words. There are facial expression, gesture, inferences, behavior, words, mails, tweets, etc. Robust leader. Successful project managers don't micromanage their team. Even if they make mistakes, intelligent project managers allow the team members to rectify mistakes as soon as possible. Quick learner. They never stop learning and trying new things. That's how it is in managing a project. A new project is always a new wave of excitement. Very competitive. It is about being a skilled project manager, but also a very possessive maternal, paternal figure who take the project as their child. Shows empathy. Empathy is a universal language. It is also a language of an ideal project manager. They care for people, their feelings, and their aspiration. Enthusiastic and active. These marvelous people think that waking up each day is a blessing and facing new challenges is exciting. Takes the team along. Good project managers are a substance that hold the team together. They are deep-rooted and sound-minded, which reflects well on their team. Thrive under pressure. Most of us would break under severe pressure. We see athletes doing it all the time, and people doing deadline-based work are no different. Managing the execution of a critical change project, implementing multi-project critical path. Critical Change Project Management, or CCPM, is a methodology for planning, executing, and managing projects in a single and multi-project environment. It was developed in response to many projects being dogged by a poor performance manifested in longer than expected duration, frequently missed deadline, increased costs in excess of budget, and substantially less deliverables than originally promised. Critical Change Project Management addresses this issue in the following ways. Planning critical change. The critical chain is defined as the longest chain, not path, of dependent tasks. In this case, dependent refers to resources and resource contention across tasks, projects, as well as the sequence and logical dependency of the tasks themselves. Estimation. To reduce the behaviors and time wasting associated with having too much embedded safety, Critical Change Project Management recommended that task estimators are cut to half the length of a norm duration. Safety. Critical Change Project Management uses safety buffer to manage the impact of variation and uncertainty around the project. Execution. Priorities. All resources on a project are given clear and aligned priorities relating to health of the critical change relative to its associated buffer and hence the project as a whole. Completion. Resources on a task are encouraged to follow the roadrunner approach. When there is work available, it should be progressed at the fastest possible speed. Review. Buffer management. The amount each buffer is consumed relative to project progress tell us how badly the delays are affected our committed delivery date. Remaining duration. Tasks are monitored on their remaining duration, not their percentage complete. Tutorial. Now learners, what are the advantages and disadvantages of having arbitration procedure in construction management dispute? Thank you.